Hey everybody, and welcome to the show, Surviving the Badge.
Cheers.
We still got your six. Tonight we're going to be talking about a rather tragic case. Officer Jason Raynor of the Daytona Beach Police Department was viciously murdered, and the verdict is out and all that, and we're going to be discussing that, and it's probably going to get very heated just because we're so passionate about this case. So stick around, you don't want to miss this. All right, welcome back everybody. We appreciate you sticking around. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And tell all your friends. Thank you.
All right, so as of right now, research today, we have 84 officers in the line of duty, and
repeat the number. I'm sorry,
84. 84 officers who have passed in the line of duty. And we're going to talk next show, about actual shootings and all that kind of stuff. The 84 officer deaths does not reflect the amount of attacks and shootings, but we do have 84 officers who have died this year in the line of duty, so we salute you.
Salute. This is my mixed drink. I'm trying to be good. I didn't want to waste the beer moment.
What do you got in there?
Speaking of beer moment,
we have the ghost is back.
Yep, ghost is back.
The ghost is back. I'm telling you, this is weird, man.
okay. So tonight we're going to do a beer moment. It's Bell's Lighthearted Ale. It's a low-cal IPA.
Oh, you could smell it. It's an IPA. You haven't even tried it yet.
Woo!
I'm telling you, that ghost is crazy.
Yeah, I was over on this side last week.
Actually, it's a glass top bar.
Right, yeah.
It's just a water.
You know, it smells really strong like an IPA, but the taste is a little muted, so it's drinkable.
Because it's a light?
Right, yeah, probably.
I think that's what it is. It's just a very light.
It's not as strong.
Right.
I actually kind of like it. I'm getting, it's weird. I used to absolutely hate IPAs. As soon as I taste them and go to another beer, I guess I'm kind of getting used to it because seems like 80% of the beers now are freaking IPAs.
Yeah, definitely.
In the stores anyway, the grocery stores. So I'm gonna give it a 7 for an IPA.
I'm gonna give it 6.5.
I'll give it a 6.25.
Yeah. So John, let's go ahead and get into our story here, and it just makes me sick. Go ahead.
Okay, so last week, Othel Wallace was found guilty of manslaughter. For shooting
ridiculous.
and killing Daytona Beach police officer Jason Raynor. He was convicted of manslaughter, not first-degree murder.
Now, was that 2 years ago or a year ago that happened?
2021.
Okay.
Okay. Sentencing should be scheduled within 60 days.
Right.
Officer Raynor's body camera showed Officer Raynor approached Wallace, who was seated in a car. Raynor asked Wallace if he lived there, and Wallace responded, "What's going on?"
It was an apartment complex?
It was an apartment complex.
How's it going? Do you live here?
What's going on?
Sit down. Sit. Sit.
Sir.
Can you sit down? I'll talk to you.
Okay,
Stop.
come on now.
Sit.
Come on now.
Sit.
Don't do this.
Sit down.
Why are you asking me, do
Sit
I
down.
live here?
Do you live here? Yes or no?
What's going on, though?
Charlie 777.
No, back up.
Stop.
What time in the morning was
I
it?
believe it was like 2 o'clock, 2:20 or something like that.
Okay.
I know where you're going.
Okay.
Absolutely, and we're going to discuss that a little bit.
Right.
And I'm only talking
Just
about
want to fill in some of the blanks. Yeah.
I'm only talking about Officer Raynor's body camera because that's basically the only evidence we have of what happened at the scene.
Right.
So Raynor asked if he lived there. Wallace responded, "What's going on?" They went back and forth with that a couple of times. Then Raynor placed a hand on Wallace's shoulder. Wallace basically tried to evade his being controlled. Raynor put a hand on the other hand on his other shoulder, trying to seat him back into the car because Wallace is trying to get out of the car at this point.
Yep.
And there was a brief struggle, and we're talking
Oh, it was within seconds.
seconds.
Right.
And then a shot rings out. You see headlights, and you hear screeching tires, and Othel Wallace is gone.
Right.
Okay. Now, like I said, there's a lot of other evidence that was presented in the case. You know, they introduced the first officer on scene, his body camera, the second officer on scene, her body camera. Go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering, how do you want to walk through the initial stop and talk about that, or how do you want to?
What I want to talk about is the first thing I want to point out is this was a case this is an odd thing for me to say. This was very much like the George Zimmerman incident.
Okay.
Even though we had a body camera to document some of it.
Right.
Okay. Basically, the only witness to what happened there was Othell Wallace.
Right.
And he did take the stand.
And he was, I said coached earlier. What do you call it?
He was prepped.
Okay.
It's called
he was
witness
coached.
prep.
He was coached.
Okay, and he said all the right things, touched on all the right, subjects to say that he was in fear for his life. So we had all this stuff, and the only witness we had was him.
Right.
And the body camera that Jason Raynor had.
Right.
Problem is, unfortunately, Raynor's camera did not catch anything that articulated as to why there was a contact there.
Right. Now, let me ask you, you guys, I never worked with body cameras. Isn't there a buffering that goes before you turn it on?
It's supposed to go back 30 seconds.
Right.
And it indicated that he had turned the camera off. So, and it wasn't clear exactly how that worked because, and you were a camera guy.
As the person that was in charge of all the cameras.
So when the officer turns it on and there's an incident, are you able to go 30 seconds back?
It goes back 30 seconds.
So what happens before?
No. It has to be programmed to do that.
Okay.
It is in the programming. It has to be programmed in order to do that. Some agencies don't like that. Some agencies do. It can be programmed to go back as long as 5 minutes.
Okay.
It can be, some of the new programs and the new cameras are recording all of the time.
Okay.
But the data is not saved until they activate a recording.
And that's
and then it goes back however long they set it to go back.
Okay.
And that's kind of how it was set up for Daytona. It's always recording, and the officer has to intentionally turn off the recording. So if he's going to the bathroom or he's not making a phone call or something like that.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense.
But
Personal business.
theirs goes back 30 seconds.
Okay.
So when the camera is activated, it goes back 30 seconds.
Right, so they had it programmed that way.
They had it programmed that way.
That's the way our cars were at our agency. It was
Right.
programmed to do that on the cars, but not on the body cameras.
Okay.
But apparently,
Because of the battery life.
Yeah.
It kills the battery.
apparently Officer Raynor's camera was in what they call sleep mode
Right.
when he made contact.
So he was making contact with somebody in an apartment complex, backed in at 2:30 in the morning, and he was. I mean, it
Because
seemed
there was
to
a
me.
stolen car reported in the area.
Well,
It was the original call.
Well, no, it wasn't a call, as far as I understand it. But and this is
I mean, a bolo or something.
there had
something
been a
alerted
bolo
him.
out.
Yeah.
There was a bolo out, and one of the other officers on his shift had said that he said he was going to go look for that stolen car.
Okay.
Proactive police work.
Right. That's
Best
what we
there
want
is.
from our officers.
But best there is.
Here's where I'm getting at, though. The body camera didn't record anything indicating what actually the contact was for.
Right. And unfortunately,
And they didn't present any evidence as to him calling anything out.
right. It doesn't seem like he called it out.
It almost looked like to me from the camera that I saw, the video that I saw, is that he was cruising through the parking lot, and he either had his alley light on or spotlight on, and he saw somebody sitting in the car. He stops. He's got the spotlight on the car. He gets out. You know, maybe he thought, what's this guy doing? And he forgot to call it out, or he just didn't think it was paramount enough to call it out.
It's going to be just a quick in and out. Now,
yeah, who knows?
Now, I teach my students the difference between reasonable suspicion and probable cause. And reasonable suspicion is a reasonable person would believe that given a set of circumstances, it's suspicious.
Right.
So, it's 2:30 in the morning. Guy's backed in, sitting in his car. I think he had reasonable suspicion for the encounter.
Right. But that what I wanted to say, though, is the importance of calling it out.
Right.
Because even if he had called out and said, I'll be out with a suspicious vehicle,
Right.
okay, we wouldn't be totally speculating.
Right.
Okay?
But I mean, context clues, it seems pretty obvious that's what he was doing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. However, the problem is, and especially when you get into a lot of these high-profile cases, you've got to spell this out to the jury.
Right.
And I think the more high-profile the case, the less the prosecution feels the need to spell out every detail.
So there was a struggle. Otha Wallace murdered the police officer and took off. And within 15 minutes, he was on Instagram doing what, John?
Facebook.
Yeah,
Was it Facebook? Okay.
Yeah, basically saying I got pig's blood on my hands.
Yeah.
On my boots.
So
On my
he,
boots.
he this was not somebody who was remorseful for what he did
Right.
to this officer.
Love y'all. Black power. Stay strong as a nation. Keep fighting. Move forward. Don't let these pigs with you. I love y'all, Black Power.
Absolutely.
So after he murdered this officer and took off, where did he go?
I believe he went up to Georgia.
Right.
And he was found in a treehouse.
And wasn't he being hidden by the?
A relative of some
I
kind,
thought it
or
was
girlfriend,
the new
or
Black Panther Party, wasn't it?
No, I think, well,
members of, maybe.
members
Okay,
of,
yeah,
but,
maybe,
it,
yeah.
but it was a relative friend
Okay.
or something
Yeah, I
of
thought
that
it was
nature.
some kind of
And-
acquaintance, friend. Something.
Right. And
Let me ask you all this real
Sure.
quick. If you're in fear for your life
Yeah.
and you take action to end that fear, why would you jump in a car and run away?
Right.
Why would you not say, okay, I'm no longer in fear for my life. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to tell my side of the story because I was in fear for my life and this guy was getting ready to, I thought I was going to die and he was going to kill me and I ended that problem. So I'm going to stay here and I'm going to stand my ground with whoever shows up and tell them my side of the story.
Right. And if you don't know,
Why
know
would you
about
run and hide?
If you don't know about the case, what LT's is saying is that's what this scumbag's defense was, that he murdered this police officer because he thought he was going to get shot. And if you watched the trial, he was always saying, well, the officer kept reaching over here. And this is where I said he was coached. He never said he was reaching for his gun. He always said he was reaching over here.
But he had two hands on, one hand on each shoulder.
Yeah, so his defense was that it was self-defense, murdering a police officer in self-defense when the officer is just checking him out. All you had to do is say, yeah, my girlfriend lives right there. Oh, okay. Well, you got your name? I don't have any warrants. Okay, let me just run it real quick. No warrants. You know what? Hey, have a good night.
Right.
Done.
Right.
But no, he's got to have a confrontation and murder this police officer and claim self-defense.
Right. So now let's move on from, the only evidence we had, or the only evidence the prosecution could present that actually told us what happened there was the officer's body camera.
Right.
He takes a stand, and as you said, he was well prepared,
He was coached.
prepped. Now
I'd say
everyone's
he
gonna-
was programmed.
programmed. And everyone's going to say now, I'm the libtard and he's a conservative. But, okay, so it goes to the jury.
Right.
Okay, and
Now, before it goes to jury, did they charge him with first degree and
Yes.
with a second degree as a subsequent and
yes, they
manslaughter
charge him
as a?
they charge him with first degree, second degree, and manslaughter.
Okay.
You know, so they could
Lesser
choose,
includeds.
they could choose any of them. Okay, so
Yeah,
after
because they didn't want him to go free.
right.
Yeah.
Because if they charged him first
unlike the
degree,
Casey
nope.
Anthony
like in the
case,
Casey Anthony
Yeah,
case.
he's not guilty of first degree murder. Holy shit! Now he's free.
Right.
Yeah. At least
So-
they had that going for him.
This was a little bit later on in their deliberations, and they asked if a detained person could be restrained, and the answer was yes, if the restraining was temporary.
Right. And we used to do that all the time.
Right.
Hey, you know what? I'm just going to put cuffs on you. You're not under arrest.
You're
Jinx.
simply being detained.
Right. I'm just going to pat you down for weapons, make sure everything's fine. I'm going to run your name.
And why did we do that?
Officer safety.
And also to, you know, hopefully diffuse any possible, hey, what the hell's going on? Why are you putting me in handcuffs on? Hey,
You know?
you're not under arrest. We're just, you know, for
No,
my
I meant
sake.
why did we put him in handcuffs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Officer safety.
Yep.
But-
absolutely.
I think the questions that the jury asked leads to what they were thinking about.
Right.
And this is the whole crux of this entire case. And I'm not saying I agree with the decision they came to. They had doubts about the legality of the detention. Did Officer Raynor have at least reasonable suspicion?
Now, is that you think that's the fault of the prosecutor?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So I agree with you that the prosecutor should have laid out in great detail reasonable suspicion.
Either in
Right.
opening or closing arguments.
And over and over
Absolutely.
and over.
So you know what I'm curious, and I agree 100,000%. What I'm curious about is who did they call in? Because poor Officer Raynor couldn't testify.
Right.
So who did they call in? Because I don't know, I wasn't able to watch the trial and all, to testify as to the police procedure and why they were out there, or you know why they
officers.
do stuff like this. Was it fellow officers and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they also had an expert.
That's where
an
I was
expert,
getting.
They had an expert witness who was an expert in use of force, in contact. He taught at the
Police
the
procedure,
state law,
basically.
police
Yeah.
procedure.
Okay.
So they did have an expert
it you?
witness. No, it was
No?
not. No.
Aren't you an instructor?
I am, but no. Nobody wants that.
Well,
So what is the definition of manslaughter, John?
basically, you took someone's life.
Yeah.
You didn't have a lawful reason to do it, so
Well,
It's one step above culpable negligence,
Right.
basically.
I explain to my students because we talk about first degree and second degree murder, and both of those are intended. First degree is planned, second degree is not planned, and third degree is reckless act
Disregard.
that cause a death. And I have a bullet resistant vest in my office, and I give an example. Two students steal my vest, take it home, and one of them says, "Hey, I bet it still works," and they shoot the other, and it kills them. Is that first degree murder, second degree murder? No, it was no intention.
Right. It was completely accidental.
But it was the reckless act.
Right. What I mean, the death was
Yeah.
completely
Right.
accidental.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
But why it happened was a reckless act, which
And-
is manslaughter.
And this Raynor case was not an accident.
oh hell no!
No. I would have been okay with second degree murder,
but the argument,
and manslaughter is bullshit.
I would have
but
been
here's
perfectly
why-
okay with second degree murder.
here is the reason why the jury. I made a point saying this is where the jury was going, because the defense was able to plant the seed that Officer Raynor was not acting in good faith.
But he was, and that's where the prosecutor failed.
Oh, absolutely,
for sure.
But that's why they went with manslaughter, because it was not acting in good faith. Because you can't do anything to a law enforcement officer if he's in the performance of his lawful duties.
Right.
And they're saying he wasn't in the performance of his lawful duties because we don't know why he was in contact with him. But people don't people on the street don't realize how a truly consensual contact can escalate to probable cause for an arrest.
Yep.
Like
Absolutely.
in a half a second.
Yep. Yeah, back to what I teach my students when we talk about reasonable suspicion. You're driving behind a strip mall at 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody's standing behind a Verizon store, just standing there in black coat, you know. Can you stop, or do you have to keep going? Would a reasonable person believe that, hey, that's sus?
Right.
And then we realized you can't make an arrest on that, but you can investigate it, and that's what Officer Raynor was doing. He was investigating.
That's why there's a loitering and prowling statute.
Right, exactly.
But
And
you
that's
got to
what
call
we-
out with it.
Yeah.
This is what I want to tell the younger officers. You know, for your safety, make sure you got to call this stuff out. I mean, we had some agencies around us that were, back in the days, they were doing
Traffic stops.
traffic stops, and they were in pursuits over Nextel.
Oh, yeah, next up pursuit, yeah.
And there's no record of anything.
Ah, the good old
We never
days.
did that.
But that's what's going to save your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turn the camera on. We've done shows
Single
on
13P behind blah,
Right.
blah, blah, yeah.
We've done the
Suspicious
shows
person.
on body cameras.
Right.
A couple of them.
90% of the time, it 100% protects the officer.
Maybe even higher. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
much higher.
Yeah, for sure.
So
So, the statute, because he's a police officer, did I read correctly that it's aggravated manslaughter?
That's what they said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is he looking
30 years
at?
max.
30 years max.
Max.
What's the min? Is there a
10.
minimum?
I think it was 10. 10
I-
to
I
30. I
honestly
believe
don't
it's
know.
10 to 30.
Is the judge...
Yes,
so
it is 10 to 30. They just said it the other day.
So the
I'm
judge
like
can give
98%
him
sure.
30 years.
That would be the maximum, yes.
So he's able to do that.
And let me just touch on another point. Thanks to our wonderful Governor Rick Scott, who did away with the 10-20 life,
Ridiculous.
this would have been a life felony
Yep.
because it involved a firearm and the shooting of the firearm and the injury of an individual, in this case a death. It would have been, the max would have been life, but that was done away with, so now we have to go by the guidelines set by the statute. So
Yeah.
just wanted to bring that up, that little point. And my thoughts on the whole deal are that this was absolutely second-degree murder. It should have been found guilty for second-degree murder. I think that the prosecution did not do a thorough enough job while doing this case in the trial, and that's why we ended up where we're at now.
Now, was it the state attorney who did this?
I believe so.
So
the state attorney.
yeah, the state
I
attorney
believe
of
it was.
Volusia County.
believe
So
it
it's not like he can get fired, if somebody
well-
botched it like this. But his
he could
attorney
be voted out.
Yeah, his
And
attorney.
the governor could suspend
yeah,
him.
his attorneys are
not
like
for that.
His attorneys are like, oh, really, you screwed this up so bad. You got a freaking
Murderer.
manslaughter. Yeah.
Yeah. One question real quick. Because I'm just not positive on this, I put it in our text group. Can they appeal state? Can the state appeal?
State can always
The
appeal.
conviction?
They could,
But
they're not going to.
But do they stand a chance of then losing the case
Yes.
if another jury sees it? Okay, that's what
What happens is appeal they only look at the judicial record,
Right,
and then
right.
they say, was there anything wrong
Right.
done during, as far as the
Legality,
judge is concerned
yeah.
and all that.
rules, all
Yeah.
that stuff. yeah.
Were there any rights violated or anything?
Right.
Yeah, I
so,
got you.
so they're not
Okay.
they're not gonna appeal.
Yeah, no.
Almost never does the state appeal,
Yeah,
On a
very
guilty
rare.
verdict.
especially on a guilty verdict.
Yeah. It does. Now the judge could have vacated the verdict. That's super rare too.
Yeah, but
that's not going to happen.
But he couldn't vacate and then put in place a stronger verdict.
No, he
couldn't
can't
have-
do that. He can
He could not have
vacate.
vacated and then said, "Well, I think it was first degree murder."
No, he could not have done that. He would have had to vacate it and then do a mistrial or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
So-
actually, I think the defense actually issued a motion for a mistrial.
Okay, granted. Get a second
Well,
bite. Get a second bite of
Before
the
the
apple.
jury came back.
Okay, granted.
So anyway,
They were scared.
let's
Right.
wrap this up.
So I gave my opinion. I mean, I think we know what y'all's opinion is.
I really
Second
hope this
degree.
guy gets the max and dies of anal cancer in prison.
All right, there we go.
All right.
I'm not complaining.
I just think that, I have a lot of problems with the way things are going in this country. However, I think the evidence was presented, and I think the jury came back with a decision that they felt was reasonable.
That they can live with.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So, as much as I disagree with it, I would much rather someone be found not guilty and not be guilty, than someone who is absolutely not guilty be found guilty.
Okay, sure. Alrighty, there's John.
There you go.
There's John with that higher level math again.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, and
Hit that subscribe.
Yeah, and share, and always remember at Surviving the Badge.
You still got your 6. Salute.
I think we're all empty.
Empty, not me.